Zoom. Okay. Here we go.
Well, that's the case, we could have done it here.
Welcome everyone to season 4 finale. And oops, we had a little oops this time. So it's the finale and the spinach.
What we've done actually,
all
Beth,
in my refrigerator
is we're testing your ability to follow along with everything we've taught you over the last 4 seasons.
Okay.
How do we adapt in the kitchen, right?
And this is a test for Chef too. Not only all of us, but Chef is tested. So how do we want to start with the fact that we're missing spinach?
So what we're making tonight is a cheesy artichoke stuffed spaghetti squash. We wanted to make a spinach and artichoke stuffed spaghetti squash, but we didn't send out all the spinach to everybody. So we need you to put in the chat what you have readily available in your fridge. And Beth challenged me to challenge you. Give me ideas and I'll be able to help plug you in, and you can still continue to cook along with us and maintain a meal that's pretty similar to what we're doing right now. By a show of hands, who's got spinach out there right now?
Who doesn't have spinach? And it might be a good time to try your drink if you to add something else in.
So if you're missing the spinach, it's not a big deal, right? It's an ingredient that is not as important, but it did help bring it all together, right? So the whole preface with this is what moving into the cooler seasons, how do we do something different, right? And we're always trying to find ingredients that we see in the grocery store. We don't know how to use them. We don't know how to cook with them.
Right.
And sometimes we're scared, or sometimes we don't even think about. You know, we did talk about utilizing pears, and how do you do that? I mean, everyone wants to utilize zucchini and yellow squash. Some people get afraid of butternut squash. Some people get afraid of spaghetti squash or AP squash just because they don't know how to utilize it, right?
Right.
It's all relative and it's all pretty simple, so.
Exactly. And do we have any items in the chat box yet?
Kale.
Kale,
So kale will work.
right? So kale, we got a kale.
Swiss chard will work.
Somebody had extra spinach.
Perfect, extra spinach. If you have iceberg lettuce, please leave it out. I wouldn't recommend it in this one. Might make it a little more watery than you're used to, unless you want to top it with that, but that's neither here nor there.
So.
Right.
So those are good substitutes.
Yes.
Anything else you guys have questions on that you might have in your fridge that you want to bring out?
Shoot it in and we'll be able to walk you right through it. Yeah.
Okay.
Mushrooms would be another one we can add to this, to add right to it. That's going to help build without diminishing the integrity of the product.
Ooh,
Or
that's
the
a great
dish,
idea,
I should
actually.
say. Yep. Tomatoes would work as well. Might make it a little watery, but we can walk you through that process when we get there. So tomatoes is another alternative.
I
Other
guess.
than that,
Let's get cooking.
let's get cooking.
It'll be a new experience for all of us.
All right, mise en place, everybody. First things first, we want to make sure our oven is on at 400 degrees. It takes a little bit of time for spaghetti squash to work. Those who don't know, this is a spaghetti squash, not a football. If you haven't worked with these guys, this is amazing, actually. You can do a lot with this stuff. You heard of zoodles, right?
I've heard of it,
Making
yeah.
zucchini noodles.
Right.
This would be another way to utilize as noodles, so to speak. So to make like pasta bakes or like baked ziti essentially, but using this instead of pasta. So those who are celiac or gluten intolerant, this would be a great substitution. Or if you're just a vegetarian alone, you're a diabetic, great substitute instead of utilizing pasta. Okay? So you're gonna see what happens, how this works when we get to that point. So we got Our oven is on. We have a pot to make our cheesy artichoke dip. And for the rest of you that got some substitutes, we're gonna plug that in. A sheet pan covered in foil because Beth has to do the dishes here and I like to help her out. So easy cleanup is always a must. We have our artichokes here that have already been drained. We got some fresh bell pepper. We have some shallots. We have some garlic. I think these two ingredients right here we've learned are almost the staples of a lot of stuff that we do, right? If you don't use shallots in your cooking, start because they're absolutely amazing.
Yes, they are.
100% adds so much flavor.
Absolutely.
They are very strong, so you don't have to go heavy on them. A lot of people like a lot of garlic. This is a mix between the garlic and the red onion, so it has a little more sweetness than the garlic, but provides excellent flavor. Okay, and then our other back ingredients here, our mise en place for our pomegranate martini. Sorry for those who didn't get the spinach, but our spinach stuff here. And then the other
8
ingredients
bags of spinach.
that are
10
gonna
bags
go
of spinach.
into that. So first things first, what we want to do, make sure our oven's on, we want to get started. We want to take our spaghetti squash. We're gonna want to take this sticker off. Okay, now this guy's a little tricky. It's not crazy tricky, but it's a little tricky. First things first. If these are the size knives that you're used to, you're gonna have to set those aside. Because this guy's never gonna be able to help you with what we're doing here. What we need is we need a knife that has some strength, and stability. Reason being is we're gonna have to cut this in directly half, right? Since our knife is barely big enough and most of you's knife skills aren't as adaptive as mine are, we'll teach you how to do it. So what you're gonna do is if you can find a spot where it's not gonna roll around, I'm not gonna say a flat spot, but there might be a spot that's more flatter than others, which I found one. And you're gonna hold firm. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pierce down all the way and try to cut one half. And then we're gonna turn it and then we're gonna cut the other half. The reason we're wanting to cut it in half this way is so we can take the seeds out and create a boat. Okay, because that's what we're gonna put our stuffing into and then finish it in the oven. So what you're gonna wanna do, try to go all the way down to the cutting board in one shot, all the way down. Then you can just work it down, right? Remember, you wanna try to let the knife do the work. And the only reason this side is harder is because you're gonna go through the stem there, right? Then you're gonna take spoon, relatively bigger, something that's strong. If anything that's real flimsy, it's not gonna go very well. Just like when you're a kid or with your kids, you get into the pumpkin, all you do is take the edge of your spoon as like a blade and scoop out all the seeds. Boom, done, just like that. Same thing with this one. And Beth, if you could grab me the olive oil. Or, yeah, or the avocado oil, either one. So what we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna wanna get our sheet pan. We're gonna wanna get our oil. We're gonna just lightly drizzle this over. And then we're just gonna kind of rub it in, so that way we get a nice light little even coat all the way around. Then we're gonna face down. What's gonna happen is the skin, the shell, it's hard like a shell, but the skin of it is gonna help protect the flesh with trapping in the moisture as it roasts in the oven, which is then gonna help kind of steam the inside.
Oh, interesting.
So the olive oil is just gonna help it be more non-stick on our foil when we go to pop it in the oven. And we're gonna go right into the oven. Like such. I already got a couple going to speed up our process. So those take about 20-30 minutes, all just depends on the size and on what it is that you're looking for. So you don't want them to be mush, right?
Right. So it's like pulling it out before you get to that point.
Yeah, and we'll check them here and we'll switch them in just a moment because the other ones have been in for roughly about 12 minutes already. So we're gonna want to make sure that those ones aren't getting mushed out because what we're gonna do, we won't do, but I'll show you what it looks like. If you weren't making the dish that we're making tonight, you could just take a fork and then you just shred it. And then it makes long strands like spaghetti noodles.
Right.
So you could use that and you could put a meat sauce like our assistant back here behind the computer tonight did earlier this week, she says. Make your normal bolognese.
Okay.
Put it right on top of that and you forget that you're eating squash. Yeah.
So really, this roasting process and then scraping it out is really how we're gonna get to.
The meat
The
and
meat of it.
potatoes, as they say, right?
Exactly. Okay, good to know.
But
This is
tonight,
easy.
tonight's dish is we're not gonna scrape it out.
Right, we're
I'll
gonna do the
just show you what that looks like. We're gonna put ours in a boat, so technically the dish is the boat. And then you're gonna give that, and then your guest is gonna be able to eat it like that. So as it sits on your plate, you'll be able to dive into it and eat it like spaghetti anyway. Little rustic. Yeah.
I'm excited to try it. I've never had it, so.
All right, and then we got our pot here. Let's get our bell pepper cut. I got it diced. Remember, as we do things, we always want to make sure how's it gonna come out, right? What's our dish gonna be like in the end? In this application, I want to dice our bell pepper because I don't want them to be julienne. Sometimes we would want it to be sliced big like this. Sometimes we want it to be in half. Sometimes we want it to be bigger chunks like this. We want a small dice that consists of this so that way you notice it, we get the flavor, but you're not going to get a big bite of it, right? We want the artichoke to stand out and the kale, some of the tomato and some mushrooms and that Swiss chard to stand out along with the artichoke, right? The spinach and artichoke dip is almost everyone's favorite, is it not?
It's one of my favorites.
It's really good.
Really
A lot of people don't like artichoke, but when you make a spinach artichoke dip and you
It kind of blends, right?
put it on a crostini
Yeah.
or eat it with the tortilla chip, you go, ooh, this is really good, right? So I figured we would take that concept and we would show you how to use spaghetti squash in a nice fall season dish to do so. So what I've done is nice julienne, nice and tight to get as many cuts as possible. Using the claw technique, keep the thumb out of there. That's important. And they don't got to be perfect because we're going to saute, so they're going to break down. So that's okay. And we're going to take our artichokes. What we're going to do is we're going to rip them in half at first because we don't want to break them up too much, but we're going to want to break them up enough, right? So we don't want to cut them down into a mince or a small dice.
Right, because you do want to taste the flavor.
Yeah, and if it's too small, you're not going to notice it, right?
Right.
So these are unmarinated artichokes, and they are just the heart. If you have not eaten an artichoke on its own, don't eat the little furlies in the center, or else you'll never get them out of your mouth. Not fun. So we're just going to kind of rough chop them, each heart, so that way it's going to be, it's going to break down some, but it's not going to break down a whole lot. So basically what I've done is I've quartered them. So I've cut them in half, and then I'm going to turn them, and then I'm going to cut them in half again. And then I'm just going to kind of break them down so that way the leaves of the heart are fairly large because they're going to soften up quite a bit. But we don't want them to, like, as you said, go away in the dish. So that way you don't notice that that's what you're eating. When you get a bite of it, you're going to recognize.
Hey, Chef.
Yes.
Are there other ways that you can make the squash? Like in diced vegetables, in a soup?
Okay, so spaghetti squash, what you're gonna see is it breaks down, they call it spaghetti squash for a reason, is because the. You got pasta right here?
Not much.
There's any
Pasta,
spaghetti?
probably not.
So.
We're not eaters.
That's okay. So the tissue, the fibers are like spaghetti. So as it cooks, they separate. Okay, so to dice it up like a bell pepper, an acorn squash and pumpkin and a butternut squash, it's the tissue, the flesh is solid. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So like a bell pepper, it's solid. Like an onion and like the artichoke, there's layers of it.
Right.
You don't really recognize the layers until it cooks, and as it cooks, those layers start to release.
Right.
So you'll see, could you dice it up? Yes. If you're gonna make soup with it, it'll probably disintegrate into the soup where you don't see it anymore. Unless you do the process that we're doing, and then you just add it into each bowl of soup as like a noodle.
Okay.
So
that
yes,
makes
you
sense.
can use it for soup. Would you use it for diced vegetables? No, because of the fibers, how it's structured. It separates like this as it cooks, as opposed to an onion and a bell pepper breaks down like this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's kind of.
It's interesting. Mhm.
Mhm.
So the butternut squash, the acorn squash, the pumpkin, all will break down like this and then disintegrate, turn to mush. As the zucchini, as the yellow squash cooks, it releases the fibers so that way it breaks up like this. So all those little strands release from each other and then turns into mush.
Got it.
Does that answer the question? All right. Moving right along. Actually, we want to check this real quick because I don't want to smush these guys. So I've had mine going here for just a little bit longer. And what we're doing is we're squeezing the outside, still super firm, right? You'll notice they'll be a little more soft. That one's, let's turn them around. But what we're looking for is to be slightly squishy, slightly. That means from here all the way through that flesh is cooked. Yeah, so right now it looks like it's a solid form, but let me grab a fork here. So see how the strands start to come apart like that? So that's where we're looking. As soon as it starts to get a little more soft, and you can tell just by squeezing it like this, it's still really, really hard. If it's softer, it wouldn't be fork tender because the skin's so tough.
Right.
But when it's softer, you'll feel it more like an orange.
Okay.
Right, because an orange is
That's good for
softer and it's softer than a lemon or a lime peel, right? So when it gets to that, then we'll be able to, that's when we're there, right? But as you saw, the fibers of
Let's
the,
go back.
yeah, we're gonna put, actually. I wanna switch them. Don't try that at home.
I'm like, find that other rack. It's okay.
It's totally good. Okay. Let's get our pot going nice and hot. We're gonna saute. So remember saute, we want to get a nice hot pan, high heat, a little bit of fat, right? A couple things for this, for deglazing purposes. The recipe calls for white wine, because sambuca, not a lot of people come by sambuca. When you're making spinach artichoke dip, sambuca is the keynote to make your spinach artichoke dip that much better.
Isn't that a licorice liqueur?
It is a licorice liqueur, correct? But you don't notice the licorice flavor because of all the other flavors, so it adds this sweetness to the end of the taste
Interesting.
that you don't recognize. I found a couple things in the wine cellar. Limoncello. Great additive to what we're doing tonight. Something that's gonna enhance the flavor, right? This other one, elderberry flower liqueur. I don't know, but I smelt it. Almost licorice like. Therefore, we're gonna go ahead and give this a shot.
Wow, okay. Look
So-
what we had in the liquor cabinet.
So being versatile, this right here, not a lot of people are gonna have this either. Some people do this as you like it or you don't, if you like lemon. But this is gonna add a freshness note to the spinach artichoke dip. I haven't decided if we're gonna add both of those yet and leave this out, or we're just gonna do this. We'll see when we get there. But this guy, safe bet, hands down. All it's doing is helping deglaze the pan, right? So stripping the pan of all the sugars.
But adding some flavor.
Exactly. So we're gonna go. Bell pepper. Spoon in there. So keeping this on high heat, the reason we're gonna start our bell pepper first is because it's gonna take longer to break this down than the other two.
Right.
And we're only gonna go like 1-2 minutes on this guy because we're gonna keep it at such a high heat. It's gonna also release that water content, which is gonna add that moisture into the pan. So when we add these and continue to cook on that high heat, we do not run the risk of burning either one of those, right? If you burn the garlic, throw it in the
away.
trash. That's right.
Don't want burn.
It's like painting that wall that you didn't really like the color when you painted it.
Yeah.
Look good on a sponge, but as soon as
Yeah.
you paint it,
Out of here.
start over. Garlic. Shallot. Not at all. So like I was saying earlier, the shallots, if you're making sauces, this one, the shallot's gonna be masked by the cheese. So it's not gonna be so pungent, right? You'll taste it a little bit, but it won't be so pungent. When you're making sauces, like when we made, what was the chicken with, I thought it was a lemon thyme sauce, or we started with that. We used less. If you're gonna make a sauce for chicken or fish and you're gonna use shallots, use less at the beginning, right? And you don't wanna add more to it necessarily, but start off with less. Because if you add a whole bunch and then you add your broth, that's all you're gonna taste is the shallot, because it is pungent.
Right.
But it's very sweet and adds a very, very nice note to your dishes.
So while you're doing that, we have our annual pie giveaway coming up. Obviously, it's close to Thanksgiving. And I'll have Daniela put in the chat box the registration, so people can order a pie if they want a pie. Make sure that you're on it, or if you already have done it, great. If you haven't signed up yet, make sure you do.
That's right.
So
And
that's a lot of fun.
it is a lot of
And
fun.
it comes from Rock Springs, which is amazing.
Rock
And if you haven't
Spring
tried
pies.
or
Yeah.
Rock Springs pie,
Yeah,
then it's worth it.
delicious. Number two, we're gonna be providing lunch at the giveaway out there.
Oh, and
Rio
in
Verde.
Trilogy,
That's right.
and we were just kind of talking about that, so I think we're gonna do mini sliders this year, so we're gonna make sure that we send that out to everybody who's in Trilogy. And we're gonna do that, for that event.
Yeah, a nice slider bar for you.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
It should be. So we're gonna let this guy cook and I'm gonna continue to saute. I added a little more oil just because I saw it started to get dry.
Right.
And only added a little bit just so we can continue to help coat our vegetables there so that way none of them burn. Right?
So we want them to break down fairly good, because we're gonna add our spinach and we're gonna add our artichokes. So let's take a sample here. See, really soft. And this was on the bigger end. So soft
Everything is coming
with a
together.
little bit of crunch, right?
Oh, yeah, it still has some.
Still have some crunch. That means we want to add our artichoke. We want to get this flavor infused in here. And the reason we're not using marinated artichokes is because we're not incorporating that flavor. Can you? Yes, by all means. Once we added marinated artichokes into this, we're adding more oil. So we don't want our
That makes
filling
sense.
to be oily. Will the cheese mask that? Depends on how much of that oil you get into the pie. Yeah. So making sure that we're still on a nice high heat because we want to continue to saute. You can start to smell that artichoke. That aroma from the artichoke starting to come out.
Yep.
Right. What next? We got our spinach. We're gonna add
Or whatever, right?
tomatoes,
Everything.
mushrooms, kale, Swiss chard. Add it now. If you're adding the kale, you're gonna need to cook it a little longer. Add your kale, add a little bit of water. And by a little bit, I mean, with what we're working here, like a quarter cup of water should be plenty enough. So it can kind of boil it,
Right,
which is gonna break it down faster because we want that kale to be soft. You don't want it to be crunchy when you're eating it
right.
with the dish, right? So as you see, those artichokes sucked up a lot of that oil in there.
Yeah. What about a tomato? Is that gonna add in a lot of extra water?
It'll add in extra water, but it's not gonna be enough to make a difference.
Okay,
Even if it's a whole fresh tomato in here, the process of sauteing right now and continuing that high heat, we're gonna evaporate that water.
now would they, how many tomatoes should they add to that? Would
I
it
would
be
just one, yep. If you're adding mushroom, you're gonna wanna cook it a little bit longer because unlike the tomato already has the water exposed when you hit it to the pan.
Mhm.
A mushroom, we release the water from the mushroom as we cook it.
Okay.
So we're gonna wanna cook it just a little bit longer, not too much longer, but just so we can evaporate that liquid. Also, as you're doing that, we are fortifying the flavor by extracting more sugar from the mushroom.
And how big of pieces are you putting the tomato, the mushrooms out for each?
I would dice my tomato to be
Similar to our artichoke?
our artichoke.
Okay.
I mean, that big's good. You could go a little smaller, half of that would be fine. Your mushrooms, I would half it and then just slice it down. So it was like, I challenge you to get your mushroom this thin, no fingertips. Not even that, if you sliced your mushroom in half and then sliced it down and got like a good 6-7 slices out of it, that's gonna be thin.
Good, okay,
Yep, and that all depends on how big your mushroom is.
right,
You don't want to be using, a baby Bella. You'd want to break that down more unless you want to have big chunks of mushrooms. That's all up to your guys' preference on what it is you're looking for. So,
right.
all right, I can tell that we're gonna need to add some spinach here. We're starting to caramelize on the bottom, get a lot of flavor. So remember adding spinach, a lot of moisture, right? And I always recommend doing fresh spinach in this process. A lot of people like to use frozen spinach. The problem is there's so much more water in frozen spinach than fresh spinach.
Right.
Because when it freezes, the molecules of the spinach leaf itself freeze more water content to it. So that way when it thaws, there's a lot more water. Why in most recipes you see, they say to squeeze the frozen spinach if that's what you're using to get most of that water out of it. So you see, as I stir, we're wilting that spinach down. I'm gonna add the rest because we're gonna need it. How are we doing at home? Any questions?
Right, how are you guys keeping up? I mean, this really isn't seem super complicated tonight, although it's a dish. I don't know about you guys, but we would never make at home. We would just wouldn't whip this up. So I'm glad that we're making it so we can really try something completely different. I mean, raise your hand out there. Have you guys ever made anything like this before at home?
Expanding your taste buds.
I mean, seriously.
That's what it's,
Never had it.
that's what it's all about. I always say it to my residents, just give it a try. If you don't like it, that's okay. But at least you know, right?
At least you can say you've had it.
There's one thing I know, they say as you age, your tastes change. And there's one thing for certain I know that as I age, I will not ever like, and that's blue cheese. I just,
Oh, that's sad.
I just,
That
no,
is so sad.
I just do not like it. And liver, I know it's a crowd favorite, but can't do that. All right, so now we got our spinach almost all the way wilted here. We're not gonna want to go all the way as of right now because we're gonna add more liquid, which is gonna help finish that process. But you can see that we don't have any more oil. You can see in the corner of the pan there, that fond, all that caramelization. That's good stuff, right? So we're gonna want to keep all that in this pot. Now,
Now, we're trying the experiment.
the elderberry.
Oh.
See? Smell. Now smell this. Now smell this.
It, very interesting
It's,
combined.
it's gonna blend very well. So we're just deglazing and all we did was just add a little. And since I am a mad chef, we're gonna add a little bit of lemon,
Okay, we're going all out.
just because why not? And that was probably a tablespoon, so we didn't go crazy on it. But we added flavor, right? That's what it's all about. All right, now we're gonna want to turn our heat down, not to a low, but a medium, because now we're gonna start to melt our cream cheese. So, hopefully all your cream cheese has been sitting out on the counter. I apologize, my mise en place instructions weren't to pull this out. If they are pulling it out of the fridge right now, you're fine, it's okay. It just takes longer to melt in the pot, that's all.
Henry said that would look good on the flatbread roll up.
So, so as soon as we make this and put it on naan, finish in the oven, delish. Mhm.
So many uses for our
What we're doing right, yeah,
stuffing.
Instead of
Is that
put-
what we're calling it?
yes, our filling.
Our filling. Okay.
So instead of putting it into the spaghetti squash, you could put it on a tortilla, you can roll it up like a pinwheel.
Perfect.
You could put it on a flatbread and bake it. You could stuff it inside of a chicken breast.
Actually, I was sort of thinking that even could you do a pork loin or something?
Yes, you can. Another thing you could do with it is we could add more cream and then turn it into a sauce and put it over pork, put it over chicken, put it over shrimp,
Salmon?
put it over salmon. So one of your
Ooh, I
favorites.
like that. Yeah, one of my favorites.
So all I'm gonna do is break this guy up a little bit. Just so it starts to melt. The reason we turn it down low is so it can melt evenly. Right now is a good time. Let's take a peek at our squash. Because I imagine that our first batch should be ready to go. Ooh, we're getting there. Okay, so if you can see, I make an imprint with my thumb On the sides, on the top, not so much, but almost. We're almost there. These guys are still
They are.
doing their thing.
Should we make the drink while
We're ready. Yep, we're ready. I just want to stir this cream cheese real quick. And we're gonna keep this on low because all we're gonna do is melt the cream cheese and then add our other ingredients and just let it simmer until our squash is ready. So let's break this up a little bit so that way we don't get any burn spots. That's an important key. For us, we'll turn this down to low so we can make our cocktail, but still maintain our temperature. All right, for this guy, we're gonna need our shaker. Okay. We're gonna need our martini glasses.
Perfect.
And I contemplated,
There's
How
a
sweet-
small bottle of vodka. It's way down here though,
we didn't start drinking.
so, no,
that,
not
okay?
today,
This is like 6 shows, okay?
way more than that.
We've actually used vodka quite a few times for our cocktails
Yeah,
this season. So my question to you, Beth, is would you like a sugar rim?
yeah,
Okay,
why not?
why not?
You have to try it all if you're gonna have martini, sugar rim.
For what we're doing, I think that it's pretty appropriate. So all we're gonna do. Sure. For our rim. Okay. Fine.
Pretty simple ingredients too on this one.
Yeah. Not overcomplicated.
Nope, I like it. It's contra.
Yeah. So
Oh, I hate that, that thing sticks together. It's like.
there's a security code for this.
Yeah,
Right?
there is.
You gotta know the passcode. Okay. First things first. We are going to lime juice the rim. We are gonna then sugar it.
And you can use any sort of juice to do the sugar rim that you're using in your cocktail, right? You would choose
And you
whatever
can-
you're using. If you're using lemon, you would. use the
Orange, lemon.
orange, okay.
It's better than using water.
Anything else,
You
absolutely.
can use water. I mean, we could even have dipped into the pomegranate if we wanted to use that. But there's not really any need for it. But all we need is just a little liquid to put on the rim so that way.
We still-
Perfecto. Okay. Then we're going to need. Shaker. Ice.
Need more ice or? you good?
Yeah, let's do a little more ice. We got our small bottle of vodka here. So that was 2 times the recipe, 1.5 ounces
Okay,
per cocktail. Just want to clarify. Then we're gonna need fresh squeezed lime juice.
remember, I'm a lightweight.
It's not bad, it's just. We're trying to make it appropriate.
Absolutely.
And it's gonna be 1/2 ounce of our pomegranate juice. Just here. And then with that, orange liqueur is gonna be 1/2 ounce as well. So for us, it's gonna be this whole bad chicken.
Okay,
And this is,
Contro has a lot of uses. It's good in margaritas.
yeah, so this orange liqueur, right? It
Yeah.
is different than triple sec.
Yes, very different.
Yes.
And it is liquor versus triple sec is not. Oh, no, triple sec is.
They're both
Liquor,
liqueurs, right? So it's a sweet liquor, but it's not
The flavor is different
as pungent as,
as a triple sec.
yes.
Okay, for all those novices like me, what makes a martini a martini? What is it about it? What, I mean, I could have vodka, pomegranate,
Chilled vodka or gin, chill, shaken.
shaken and chill, but it could be with any mixer. I mean, we're putting these things in there.
Traditionally, no, right?
Right,
So
it's just gonna be
traditionally, it's either
chilled
vodka or gin. And if you like it dry, it'll be a little bit of vermouth and bitters. But like a lemon drop is just lemon juice, vodka, little sweet,
Okay.
simple syrup to
But
kind
they
of.
do
sweeten
like
up.
chocolate martinis, espresso martinis. We're getting to be around the holidays to go eat
So
all
all
of
of
that.
those flavor ones, 9 times out of 10 are gonna be vodka based.
Right,
So the martini is 3 ounces of alcohol and not just 1.5, right?
right.
So as opposed to most cocktails, there's only 1.5 ounces of liquor in those unless you're adding a whole lot more. And as you saw, a couple of ours that we've done, it's less.
Right.
Like the gimlet that we did just last month.
Right.
Was this 1.5 ounces, but then there was other stuff in there, which then changes it, right? So that's the martini is like straight liquor. And then cocktails are with mixers.
Right, got it. Okay. So good to know that you have to take care of the, looks pretty.
Nice for the holiday
I
season.
love it. It looks gorgeous.
Nice little topper there. If you'd like to put a fresh squeeze in, that's all you. If not, no big deal. So like with this one, clean, real simple, right? Could you add some of the pomegranate oreos, the seeds? Sure, a little bit in there, it's
That's a
fine.
good add-on.
You could add just like a rosemary sprig. If you put the rosemary into here and shook it and release some of that oil and then garnish with that, you'll recognize it without really knowing what it is. You'd
That's
know
really
it, but
good.
you'd be like, oh, that's fine. And then you taste it like, oh, what's that?
That tastes really good. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, season
Cheers.
4. Thank you,
Finale.
everyone.
Oh, that's delicious. That's really good.
It's pretty clean.
Very good. You guys like that at home? Have you guys all tried it? Everybody take a good sip? Really good.
It's delicious.
It is delicious.
It's gonna pair well with what we got going here.
Also,
So all of our cream cheese is melted. We're gonna wanna add our heavy food in there. Important ingredient here, secret stash crushed red peppers.
oh, that's always a crowd favorite.
Mhm.
So if I wanna make this and put it on my fish, my chicken, something, what do I add to it extra? To make it more of a sauce?
Well, if you're gonna make it sauce, we're adding heavy cream. You could add milk.
Okay,
You could add chicken stock,
okay, to make it more.
fish stock, right? Vegetable stock
Got it.
to make it more loose. If we were gonna stuff it, as you were asking,
Mhm.
we would leave it in this consistency.
Got it.
And we
Okay,
would
good to
want
know.
to. The only thing we would add is our other cheeses, so then it helps bind it together. So that if we were stuffing a chicken breast or a pork chop and then we were baking it, we don't lose all that.
So we basically do everything in the recipe, even if we're stuffing anything else. Got it.
And add some
Some cream that makes it all better,
Well, and it's to bulk it up a little bit,
right?
because we're gonna be adding more cheese to it. And as soon as we add the mozzarella, it's gonna get cheesy.
Right.
So if we have it at a thin state right now, or thinner, then that way when we add our cheese to thicken it back up, I'm just gonna turn the heat back up a little bit.
Right.
Add a little more cream. So we gotta remember too, if you're adding milk, it's gonna be less milk than cream. Heavy cream is a thickening agent as well. So it's gonna take a lot of this to get it to a thin consistency that you're wanting if you were making a sauce. And it would take milk a lot less of that. So like this is, I mean, still pretty gooey. But if you were to top this on your spinach, that's a pretty good consistency there, right?
Oh, yeah. It's delicious.
Let's go ahead and take a peek at our squash.
Ooh, wow.
They're definitely making progress. So as we were talking about, soft, right? See how soft that is as I press it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so then when we flip it over, see this? See how the fibers, how it shreds like spaghetti? Right? So this is the consistency we want it in right now. So if we could see how soft it is here compared to this side right there, how it's a little bit firmer, but still doing really well. So right now, since we are going to go back into the oven, let's flip these bad guys over. Use your tongs
Your fingers
If
can't
you're-
take it.
if your tongs aren't like mine. I'm gonna add a little more cream to this, just because we're gonna add cheese. And once I add the cheese, I'm not gonna want to add the cream. I'm gonna want to thin it out and then tighten it up with the cheese.
Wonderful.
If you could grab me the salt and pepper there, Beth.
You want regular salt, right?
Anyone's fine. So all we're gonna do is add a little salt, add a little pepper. Now, we're gonna let that cream heat up slightly before we add our cheese into it. Because you're gonna see as soon as we start adding that cheese, it's gonna thicken up. And once we add that cheese, it's gonna be a lot harder to thin it out if necessary.
Wow.
So it's better to get it to the consistency nice and loose right here. So when we add the cheese, we can get it to that firm consistency that we're looking for, so that way it doesn't run all over the place.
Does this have to go back in?
After we stuff it.
Oh, after we start.
Yeah. And we're gonna speed that process up too. So this is coming up to temperature. All of our squash looks pretty good, as you can see. See how that, like I was saying, how the fibers break up like that?
Yes, that's really, it just scrapes right off.
Yeah, and it's firm, right? So, I mean, but to eat it,
Smelts in your mouth.
well, it'll still be like al dente, like pasta, because that's what you're looking for.
Right, right, right.
Get an idea of what we're looking at.
It's definitely more al dente than it appears to look like.
Well, and remember, we're gonna cook it,
Mhm.
so that's another piece to it. So we're gonna
No,
add,
very good though.
we're gonna add more moisture to it, which is gonna help finish it. We don't want to get it to that point where it starts to turn to mush
Right?
when our dish is finished.
Oh,
right?
no, for sure. I
So
think it's
that's-
amazing.
that's
I'm very
what we're
surprised
looking
at the texture even. while we're thinking about it, in between a few things, make sure that you guys put in the chat box anything that you want to cook with us next year. This is our last episode for the season, and we'd love to have some great ideas from all of you.
Yeah, we're looking for anything and everything. You've been out to a restaurant and had something fantastic.
Exactly.
Say, hey, I want you to make this, or how can I make this?
Or something like this that's totally different that you're just never really gonna cook at home.
Thumbing through your cookbooks and you say, no, not gonna make that. You know, this is a great opportunity to show and see how to utilize different products. I mean, over the season, I think we've continued to combine a lot of different things. You know, we're always looking to incorporate the kids into the kitchen. We're always looking to, how do we make one meal into 4 meals, right? So those are things that, as the economy is the way that it is, we gotta be able to utilize our product. And that's a big key, especially in the kitchen. You know, I'm always looking to see how can we cross utilize? So menu development, when I'm developing menus, I don't just have 50 ingredients and 7 ingredients go into one dish. I try to incorporate one ingredient around the menu where you don't recognize it, because sometimes you go to restaurants and jalapenos and everything,
Right,
like everything you go in your site. Okay,
right.
is that the niche, right? The only exception to that is elote in Sedona. If you haven't been there, check it out. The whole menu is based upon roasted corn. Absolutely fantastic,
Ooh,
but it's different in every single way.
whatever you.
Every single way. It's pretty fantastic, actually. So I already added our mozz, as you can see. The cheesiness, right? It was still at kind of a loose consistency, right? But you can see,
It's definitely thinking it.
Yeah. absolutely. So we're gonna add our Parmesan, our little salt content.
And we also want you guys to share and like us on Facebook. Post your dishes on Facebook, send them to us. Share everything with us. Share your comments on Facebook. We'd love for you guys to participate and help us grow our network. We'd love to have more people join us. And if you're on for multiple times, definitely make sure that you share, like us on Facebook, and give us a call. And
Well, and sign up, right? So that's the piece. We're always looking to send out our basket of ingredients to new,
invite your friends.
new attendees so that they too can join us in the process, and we can teach you how to cook along and how to adapt in the kitchen, right? How not to be afraid of
Absolutely.
messing it up, right? If you mess it up, you burnt it. That's okay. As we
Live and
learn,
learn.
as we learned today, every day is a learning experience. But that's what we're going to do. We wanted to teach you how to feel comfortable in your kitchen, how to have your loved ones, your neighbors over, and wow them with stuff that you wouldn't typically think of. Oh, I'll just make chili for everybody, right?
Right.
That's a go-to. That's easy. But when you do something different, they go, oh my goodness.
Wow.
I had no
A lot of
idea.
trouble.
Yeah, I had no idea. And we want to make it simple. And we'll simplify it. That's what it's all about. All right, I'm at a cheesy goodness here.
All right. How we load them up?
Let's load them up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got
You got it?
it. Sure enough. I'm no stranger to this program. Handy dandy right there. See that? Nice little even bit there. How are we doing at home? Everyone's coming along good? You got any
Any
questions?
questions?
Yeah.
kind of seems fairly simple of a recipe this week. I mean,
Super easy.
a lot of times we're doing 30 things and trying to hustle, but it feels like we're only making a couple things, which makes it simple.
Well, and this one's nice because something, as we say, out of your comfort zone that doesn't take a lot of time or effort, right? You don't have to stress out about it. And comforting for the season.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that we're using seasonal.
That's what it's all about.
It is.
Slightly steal some from our neighbor. And from this neighbor. There we go. And then we saved some of our cheese for a good reason. Right on top.
Sure, there's a topper.
Right on top, we're just gonna go. A little bit of mozz. Well, remember, mozz spreads well, so less is more when you're working with mozzarella.
So it spreads more than other cheeses?
It melts
Melts
better
better?
than other cheeses.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Mhm. So that's why I say it spreads, because as it melts,
It goes
So-
out.
it
Okay.
expands. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Who would have thought?
Little Parmesan.
Is anyone done with their dish yet? Have you guys tried it? Has anybody started it ahead of us?
Just finished.
Swap these guys.
All right.
Go get one.
And for time's sake, we're gonna pop these guys in. And we're gonna blast them. So we're gonna turn ours up to a broil. So we're gonna rapidly crisp the top, right?
Okay.
And that's what we're doing.
2 to
So it'll
3.
only take a few minutes. I'll see, these guys are perfect.
Wow, that's great.
Somebody go get one so you can show them,
What is this going to be?
honey. I'm gonna go get one so you can show them.
I guess you can.
And say, here's mine.
See how that shreds? Yeah. So I mean, we could make, you could get to this point and make like a lasagna filling, ricotta. We could do sauteed spinach, artichoke. You could just do ricotta, mozzarella, parmesan, a little bit of herbs, put it in there, back in the oven, just like we did. An even easier process and still get a similar yet delicious dish, right?
That's interesting.
So all those vegetarians out there or keto friendly diets, this is a great opportunity to try that and
Really?
see that it's pleasantly surprising, like it doesn't taste like squash.
Gotta
I
talk to
mean,
them.
that's the hard part, but it's like, oh, that's squash. A lot of people don't like squash.
Right. Has anybody tried it yet? What do you think?
I did. Oh,
Have you tried it? Are there people eating?
Fabulous. It's
Fabulous. Do you
delicious.
enjoy it? Is this your
Oh.
first time making it?
Yes, delicious.
Excellent,
wonderful.
excellent.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah, something different. And as we learned today, that it goes on and on and on and on. If you don't like an ingredient, leave it out. If you want to add more ingredients, you can add them in. The more ingredients you add in, you're going to add less of them, because the more you add, like building a pizza,
Right.
when you add a lot more ingredients and you continue to have the same volume of those ingredients, pizza doesn't cook very well, right?
Right.
So in this application, you can get into adding eggplant. You can, I mean, we could take it a step further, add some feta cheese to this, because I know there's some people out there that like feta cheese.
I do.
We get red onion, right? I mean, all that stuff, we can
Right,
add it
add
to
it.
it. Basically,
anything we could add to this and put it here, or we can top it on salmon, we can put it on chicken. We could take this dish and thin it out completely, saute some shrimp, add the two together, and then we have like a Tuscan shrimp dish
Wow.
that we could put
On that,
on
maybe
top
that.
of our spaghetti
Well, that's what I
sauce.
was thinking. You almost could have put even a little chicken in here and put it in here. I mean, if you wanted meat as well.
Rotisserie chicken, it's not gonna take any more time.
That's true.
And you just are shredding it,
That would
mix
be
it
really
in
good.
and put it in, you're adding a little more protein, a little more volume. Those who need protein, seems like if I have a vegetarian dish, I go crazy. I love them, but I wanna have some chicken or something in there, absolutely.
Right.
You could use shrimp in there too.
Right. I love that idea that you could do the seafood. Yes. So there's a lot of options. Or even make this big, I mean, the lasagna is really a cool idea too.
It goes on and on and on and on, yeah. So using this, like we could take this and let it cool a little bit, and then we can shred the spaghetti squash, put that on our plate, saute our shrimp, set it on there, top it with the sauce we just made,
Right.
whole different dish, right? So that's the beauty of all that. Any market updates, Beth?
Yeah, we're gonna end this year, you know, we're rolling into our winter season, which for us, with all the winter visitors coming in, it brings a lot more opportunity for if your home is listed. And we're really, really gearing up this year in Trilogy. We have over 9 listings and ready to get some selling going on in there. And we're looking forward to all the winter visitors. So if you have friends, family members coming to town, we'd love to help them. And keep in mind that the home builders have amazing interest rates right now. All the home builders throughout the valley are offering really wonderful rates that help
Did you know
people
that?
get into your next home, either for
Great.
yourself or your family members.
Mhm.
And I think we're just ready to go. We're gonna wrap it up late today, but just remember, like the Rider Relief team, like us on Facebook, send us messages, and let's all just stay in touch through 2025. Oh, we have red onion?
Well, you know me, and
You're
plating,
thinking of doing something different.
plating is important, right? So I just thumbed through the refrigerator and asked myself, what can I garnish this dish with?
He's got red onion.
And I see this to add some flavor and to add color. And what I'm doing is I am trying to cut this as thin as possible with my best knife skills that I can possibly use. So it's shaved essentially. That's what we're looking for. All we're gonna do is just put a nice little topper on there, adds a little bit of color, adds a little texture, right? So it's all building. When we build dishes, we wanna make sure that all the ingredients blend well together.
Absolutely.
Let's take a peek at our.
Ooh, yeah, look at those bad guys.
Wow, that looks amazing.
Yeah, let's go ahead and give them another
Something
minute.
different.
We got any questions out there so far? What do we think?
Photos in the chat box.
Send us your photos, send us your requests as we're putting together our first quarter and our next
Absolutely.
season. Anything you'd like to see, we got lamb chops on request, we got bacon wrap fillets on request. We got
We just had those.
another mahi dish. How do we make that? For me, I'm always trying to find something that you guys haven't done, so to help challenge you feel more comfortable in your kitchen. That's what I'm always trying to look at. And then how do we capture stuff to do in only an hour, right?
Right.
So that's always fun and important. So
Anything in the chat box?
I'm gonna be putting together some ideas.
Why did it say 6?
Our videographer hasn't given us any ideas. 4 seasons.
Well, Alice said, thank you for a good year of cooking. Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
Happy
you. Yeah,
Thanksgiving.
thank you for joining us. We're so glad that you're on.
And everybody have a wonderful rest of the year. I
Absolutely.
mean, we're getting down to the wire here. It gets to be busy season.
Thank you so much.
For me, it's all the
Everybody.
time. Busy season is all the time for me. I think August is the only time it's like
Kind of mellow.
kind of mellow, yeah.
In the restaurant business, yeah, I mean,
It's just, you're always eating.
it's
people are
from
eating.
right, yeah, like especially from like October all the way to graduation, and then you get into the summer, so, you know, it's just what it is, but that's what it's all about,
It is.
getting together.
Cooking.
That's right.
Food
Everyone,
brings you together.
food brings, that's one of the reasons why I decided to pick culinary as a career, because of that reason of, I remember food being a staple of gathering of everybody, you know, people come into town, you know, you have a party, or, you know, Thanksgiving always seems to be the one that stands out the most, where family that you never see all year, and they're pretty distant family, but all relatives, and then you get together, and then it's one day and it's over. And then you talk about getting together again, and then it doesn't happen until next
Next
Thanksgiving, right?
And that's why we all pick our homes,
That
because
is
we love the
Thanksgiving.
kitchen space. We love the open aired space and cooking, and that's how the Writer Elite team got involved in cooking, because all of our clients, we want to reach out to them in a way that they're enjoying their homes. And that's what
Absolutely.
you guys are all doing with us tonight.
Yeah, and how we started was to help you feel more comfortable and,
Right.
and confident that I can do this. We can teach you how to do it. You might be afraid to broil a lobster tail, but we'll teach you how to do that so that you can be confident in it. And then you can impress your loved ones, your neighbors, your other family. I mean, anyone really. So
Right.
that's the beauty of it all.
So this would certainly be a wow dish that people would not expect.
No, and how do we make it more wow, right? That's always what I'm looking at.
Oh, one hand. I needed two hands to get it out.
Thanks to these forearms, lifting lots of sheet pans in and out of the oven over the years. All right, so we're gonna take a guy. And as you saw, look at more moisture, right?
Mhm.
So that was what I was saying. We want to be cautious of what we're adding into there. But then, real simple, stick it on your
He's
plate.
gonna garnish it. Oh, I had red onion. I could have done that.
So something that's simple, nothing crazy. All we did was just shave it and add it to it, add a little dimension, add a little color. And that right there sitting in front of your guest says, you slaved all day on this? Actually, I did it in an hour.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
We're gonna get back to everybody with the 2025 schedule. For now, you'll just keep an eye out for that. We'll probably publish it in
We're
end of
coming.
December, early
We're
January.
coming up with it. It'll be out before Christmas for sure.
Okay,
So we
great.
get everybody on the calendar, make sure that they free their calendars so they can attend.
Absolutely.
If you're looking for any catering, any private parties, dinners, birthdays, graduations, please reach out. I'm more than happy to help you out, make your party more enjoyable, so that way you can enjoy your party.
Happy holidays to everyone, and thank you for joining again
Thank you very
tonight.
much, everyone.
Signing off, Beth Ryder with the Ryder Elite team and Chef
Mm.
Jude.
Good night.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank
night.
you.
Welcome, thank you.